Hey, welcome to Totally That's Stupid, the podcast, video podcast. You like that energy?
Yeah, that's better energy than part of it last time.
Yeah, hopefully this time we don't have to edit out the cold open.
Right, right. Yeah, we don't have to edit out the first 9 minutes because it looked like we were dead.
We've brought enthusiasm to the table today, and
Right.
like we talk about our blog is mostly cars, but we talk a little bit about life. So right before we turned this thing on, we were just starting to have a conversation about um, well, I guess really it's a conversation about being old, tired Gen Xers.
But but I repeat myself. Yeah, no.
So yeah,
Chris and I have the conversation all the time. Like, oh, this was a good idea when we decided to do this thing, and then day of, afternoon of, even day before, it's like, oh God, why did we decide to do that? Even like, for trips. She'll say, "Oh, are you excited to go on this trip?" Yeah, no, no, not really. Like, I got
that's how it was when I went to Hong Kong last in December. I was super psyched for that trip, and then when it's like on the cusp of happening, I went from super psyched to and at this point, like I'm committed, right? I mean, I've got tickets that I could get a credit for them, but I'm not going to do that. I wanted to do my mileage run and all that, but at the same time, it was the enthusiasm from when I booked it was gone. So yeah, last night we saw. I guess. Hey, plug for a comedian. We saw Jim Gaffigan last night, who I'm not going to call him the voice of my generation, but I don't know. He kind of is for me, because that's what this guy was talking about. He was talking about, yeah, you guys were all super psyched to come see this show when you booked it. He says, well, actually, he said you were probably psyched when you saw the ad, and then you said to your partner, spouse, whatever, oh, we should go see Jim Gaffigan. And then the problem is one of you made the move. You booked the tickets. And when you told the other one, it's like, yeah, we're going to go see, I bought the tickets for Jim. The one that didn't book it probably went, oh, well, okay.
All right then.
And that's sort of how our conversation went. And then, yeah, you were psyched to come until this morning when you thought, oh, geez, do we really have to do this? And we totally went through that yesterday because, again, we're 50 somethings. Gen Xers, like to keep to ourselves. Don't like crowds. Don't like people. And you know, so it was highly recommended. Great show if you're of a certain age. It was funny because due to some other family stuff, we almost gave the tickets to our daughter to take her friend to go see the show, and her response to my wife was, "That's really sort of like he's not really a comedian for my
20
generation."
something, 20 something.
Yeah. She's like,
Early
yeah,
20.
and she said he's funny, but like doesn't really speak to me. And what was interesting was Heather had a teenager whose rest of her family was in the row behind us, but she was sitting next to Heather. And she said, yeah, it was a little interesting sitting next to this teenager. I said, did she even laugh at all? She goes, like once or twice. She said, but like the 9-year-old sister behind us was laughing her head off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was sort of one of those things. I mean, long week, things coming up, things going on, and you're just like,
Yeah. We actually have, Chris reminded me this morning that we have the high school swim banquet tonight, right? So we had like all day, birthday party stuff for the kid yesterday, and that was a lot of fun. House full of people last night, good fun. And then kind of ease into the morning. This morning it's Sunday as we're recording this, and like okay, got some stuff to do around the house. Reed and I are going to babble at each other for a little while this morning. And she goes, "Oh yeah, hey, we've got the swim banquet tonight." I'm like, ah, yeah, yeah, we do. So it goes beyond the oh, this was a good idea when we opted to do this. It's gone beyond that too. I totally forgot about that. Ah,
mm.
God damn it.
those are worse sometimes
Yeah,
because then it hits you out of the blue. It's like, wait, what?
yeah.
Oh.
It's not like it's not on our calendar. It's on the calendar.
Yeah.
We've talked about it this week, but yeah, that I have not committed that to memory, clearly.
I have to say, I mean, having made the decision not to just forfeit the couple $100 worth of tickets, we went and actually had, it was great to get out. It was easy. The venue was right when you cross into DC from Virginia. So it's basically, cross the bridge, take two rights and you're there. And
Mm.
I had prepaid parking. And so like, no drama there. And we were early. They opened the doors an hour early. So, we got a couple of sodas and just hung out in the seats and BS'd for a while waiting for the show. Managed to get decent seats. We were sort of just right above the stage on one side, so good view and everything. So yeah, it was good. And then we went to the 5 o'clock show, and there were a lot of young kids there. And he's not like a blue. He doesn't really swear a lot. There's a little bit,
No, he
but
does clean. He's kind of known for clean comedy.
yeah, it's pretty clean. I mean, he said things like all that shit or whatever, but nothing that was going to put your kids into therapy. But there were a lot of young kids, a lot of older people, and you kind of like this is sort of the comedy show version of the Blue Plate special.
Dude, literally, we had this conversation. We went out. So kid's birthday was actually last Thursday. Went to a restaurant with the Farnsworths because we do everything with the Farnsworths and our friend Marcia. And partially because this restaurant fills up early and they don't take reservations, but partially because we're old. Dude, we were at dinner at 5 o'clock. And
And
Kristen
that's
did
okay.
that for years. Like when we used to see her friend Kristen more regularly. Yeah, Chris and Kristen would go to dinner at like 4:30, 5 o'clock
Yeah.
because yeah, reasons.
Yeah, so the area where the venue is, there's a lot. It's called the Wharf down in DC, and there's a lot of it's been redone. There's a lot of new restaurants and stuff down there. I'm like, well, we'll just go to dinner after the show because it'll be 6:30.
Right.
And I thought, oh well, we should probably make a reservation. And of course, we're doing this as we're sitting waiting for the show to start. You're like, yeah, we should probably see if we can find a reservation somewhere, just because it'll be crowded, and so don't want to necessarily wait for a table because we eat earlier than 6:37. Make a reservation, great. Go to the show. So the place that we booked was, I think it was 325 feet away from the front door of the venue where we saw the comedian. Walked over there. It's like, hey, we have a reservation. What's your name? Give him my name. And it's like, oh, we don't have you. Can you show the confirmation? Pull it up on my phone. Show it to them. Oh yeah, that's the other location. Well, okay, now I know there's two.
Right. So in that case, table for two, please.
Well, no, because they were turning people away.
Oh no.
So then it's like, what do you want to do? So we look at each other. It's like, well, not for nothing. It's now about 7 o'clock. Why don't we get the hell out of DC and just go to someplace closer to home? Because traffic and crowds and agoraphobia or whatever. And so we drove back and remembered a place that we had been one other time that was sort of two-thirds the way home from DC. And I told her, I said, well, see if you can reserve a table there. And she did. We walked in. There were like, 6 people in the whole place. And it was fabulous. But we had a reservation. And actually had a very nice dinner. And was glad that we got out of town and then ate. So, I mean, we ended up eating at like 7:30, which, I mean, for normal people, I mean, when I was a kid, we ate at 7:30 every night because my parents worked in New York and, came home to the suburbs and whatever. We don't eat at 7:30. It's like, wow, this is late.
Yeah.
We're going to go home and, watch some TV for 20 minutes and go lay in bed.
Precisely.
Yeah, I'm not going to get, my full digestion before I lay down tonight, but it was good. I mean, and glad that we had done it that way, but yeah, I don't need to do the downtown thing a lot once in a while is great.
Mhm.
I was glad that we did it though. We needed to get out. It's very easy to stay home and watch reruns of Yellowstone or something. But
Yeah. Yeah. I do like getting out. I mean, I don't know, month and a half ago now, my buddy Mark and I went to a concert downtown at First Avenue. I hadn't been down there in a while. I mean, it's not very far from my office, but I really don't go there very much either. And it was good to get out and just see some live music and
yeah,
had some dinner beforehand and some
that's
drinks.
because you didn't go to the 5 o'clock show.
No, but we were actually because that's when we were having our really cold spell. It was, and I think the show started at 7, and I think doors were at 6. So we're like, oh, okay, so we don't have to like stand outside for a long time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, club shows, right?
yeah. Yeah. Actually, yeah, we did a music thing a couple weekends ago, just at lunchtime. Just there's a brew pub place not far away, and they had just Sunday afternoon live music. It was just like, yeah, that sounds all right, and it wasn't super crowded when we got there, and yeah, so trying to do more of that, just get out of my cocoon. I mean, working from home and being sort of people resistant anyway, it's probably not great for me to never leave the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And funny thing is, I agree. And then when I do go out, I'm really glad to be home.
oh yeah, yeah, no,
Right? Yeah,
that's
we went out. Yeah, like I said, we did this all day birthday party thing for the kid yesterday, and we went to this like indoor mini golf place. Um, and it's fun. They have like food and bars, and it's all computerized now. Like the balls have RFID tags, so it knows who you are and what your score is and all that. And they're all very architecturally interesting holes. And holy hell, there were a lot of people there yesterday. I mean, our group was big, so every other group was big. Oh my God, too many people, too many people, too many people.
yeah.
My buddy Brent's like, "You want a beer?" I'm like, "I would love a beer, thank you."
I get that. I get that. I did not have a beer last night. Actually woke up feeling very good this morning after a nice long rest that started at 9:30. One of the other things about that show though. So insert car content. So I've sold the Range Rover. Well, I actually didn't sell it because that wouldn't have been right. Um,
And
I have
and yet,
I have donated the Range Rover to a needy family because that's better.
because that's somehow better.
Um,
You want to clarify that, or you want to just let it lay?
well, I'll clarify it.
Okay.
So there is and every city's got them. There's a local organization that we've given a car to before. We actually had a Volvo 850 wagon that was not quite as advertised and wasn't going to be a good car for my older daughter 5 years ago. 5 years ago, that's the guy told me he had us in his records. So we donated it to this place called the Car Ministry. I get the tax write off, and they don't. Well, very rarely do they resell a car. He said once in a blue moon we'll send a car off to auction. He goes, but by and large, what they do is they give it to a needy family. And because of that, the way the IRS rules work is you can take the tax deduction for the full fair market value of the car, as opposed to some other formula that applies when they just resell the car. Or if they auction it, then you only get the value that they auction it for, which, in the case of a 2004 Range Rover, probably would have been $600.
Right.
Even though retail, and I had pulled from Edmunds, I had pulled comps from like Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids of similar mileage cars. So the fair market value of the car is right around $5,000, which is actually a trigger number. If it's over 5,000, then there's a whole lot more paperwork.
Mm.
So we were right there, and he's like, "Yeah," he goes, "You can easily rationalize this at 5,000." I was like, "Great, so that's good for the taxes." But I just, it's just got to the point where I love driving that car, and I'm gonna have another Land Rover one of these days because I really liked it. But it's also the check engine light's going to come on, because it's a Tuesday, and just the oil leaks were probably a little bit more than I felt like taking on. And yes, the BMW M62 motor leaks. I mean, that's conventional wisdom, except it doesn't necessarily have to. You can go after the leaks. You can chase them down, and that's just going to cost you money. I got tired of wiping up my garage floor. And I've got a short attention span. So replace that with a modern car, and we sort of lament the sort of wistfully recall the days of 20, 30, 40 years ago on our blog podcast stuff. A channel, yeah. And I didn't do that this time. I didn't go for the 30-year-old daily driver. I went for a 2021 daily driver that has lots of buttons and screens and crap. But I got in it to drive to DC last night. I pushed the button and I didn't wonder if the check engine light was going to come on. Now, in another 2 or 3 years, when the check engine light comes on, it's going to be catastrophic.
Right, right. But you're also not going to have it in 2 or 3 years. Hell, you're
No,
probably
I'm going to
months.
push it off on my kid.
Right, right. Yeah. No, that car will become a troublesome car over the next 6 to 12 to 18 months because modern
Maybe.
car. I mean, probably. I mean,
I mean, I did some homework. So what I bought, I bought a 2021 Mercedes GLC 43. So that's the bi-turbo 6-cylinder V6. And part of the reason I bought it was because my Mercedes mechanic had one and really raved about it just as being a reliable car. It's a serial produced motor. It's not a hand built AMG motor, but it's a powerful, fun car that makes blurpy noises from the sport exhaust and all that. It has 9 gears, and so it can't decide what gear it wants to be in at any given time, and makes blurpy noises every time it shifts. But you sort of get used to that. But like the CarPlay works, the heated seats work. The check engine light's not on, but you're not wrong. I mean, there's a better than fair chance that whether it's 18 months, whether it's 5 years, at some point that car's going to have expensive issues because of just what it is and the way they make cars now, not only for planned obsolescence, but just with all that stuff in it. If you have 2 turbos, well, that's one more to break than cars that have 1 turbo.
True.
You read about that stuff, and I mean, I've read about it more on BMWs, I guess, than Mercedes about turbo replacements. But all these cars have that kind of thing. I mean, that's going to fail. It's going to have seal issues. I mean, luckily it's timing chain, not timing belt, so I don't have to worry about that so much. But maybe chain guides will be a problem, and who knows. But you add all the mechanical potential problems to, luckily this car has buttons and screens, as opposed to my wife's wagon that just has screens basically. So at least there are buttons to control some of the functions.
Yeah.
You might not see the display.
Right.
I can adjust the temperature, but I don't know what it is.
Right, right. This feels warmer. This feels
yeah. I pushed up for red instead of down for blue.
right, right. Are you comfortable? I'm comfortable.
Sure. But it was sort of a nice new feeling for me just to have my car that we could take outside of my coffee run and not be sort of on edge about whether it was going to shit itself.
Yeah, no, I get that. The Outback is sort of that for us. It's gas and go. And the thing I'm realizing now is the Outback's a 2018. It's got 105,000 miles on it, and it's starting to develop needs as cars do. Are they catastrophic? No. Is the check engine light on? No. Did the rear caliper seize up? No.
Well, you remember my Range Rover well.
Sort of front of mind. Yeah, anyway, so like The thing about Gen 5 Outbacks, I think that's Gen 5. I might have to look that up. The thing about 2015 through 2019 Outbacks is like the leather seats in those cars are not fully leather, right? So like the
Mm.
centers of the seat are leather, but the bolsters are vinyl. And it all matches and it's all very pretty until the vinyl fails and it looks like ass. So we have to replace a couple seat cushions because mine look like ass. You can look in pretty much any Outback with leather seats that you find on the street and you'll see what I'm talking about. We can throw a picture up too. But the other thing that started is on the LED steering responsive headlights, the eyebrow lights, frequently known as the DRL, or in Japanese parlance, the kanoji, the left one went a little dim. And I thought, well, that's annoying because I'm OCD. But then more recently, the right one went out entirely, and now I'm just annoyed. And
So it's
between
constantly winking.
Oh no, no, it's as my wife calls them because her dad called it this. It's a one-eyed jack. So when you're driving down the road, you only have one little eyebrow light on.
Uh, uh,
And between that and a few other little things, I keep thinking to myself, if I'm going to have old German car problems, why don't I just have an old German car? Oh wait, I have three old German cars. And you get my 5 Series, 2002. You know what that car doesn't have? Lights
old,
out.
old German car problems.
They really don't have a lot of old German car problems. So I'm gonna have to lay some love on the Outback soon, which is annoying because that's the reliable Japanese car, right? Like, we've said this for years. You can have all the old dumb cars you want. Mostly they were German, but apparently for some people they're British too. Um, you can have all those cars as long as you have one reliable car around.
Right, right,
And frequently that was your wife's car, and it's largely always been my wife's
right.
car. Well, now as these cars age, as we talked about in the last podcast, um, like these cars they all develop issues as they age. And I'm sort of annoyed by that because I'd like one car I can largely ignore. And we're getting to the point where I'm going to have to stop ignoring that car.
Well, and that was part of it for me. Is yeah, we have my wife's car. Well, my wife is at work every day. She doesn't work from home, so she has her car, and I just kind of I don't know, first world problem. I wanted a not think about car for myself.
Mhm.
But I didn't want, I did the Toyota Tundras and the Tacoma, whatever. I thought about getting a 4Runner.
Mhm.
The problem with that is finding a decent one for a reasonable price. I mean, part of the reason I like the GLC was, yeah, I like the silly blurpy noises and the adjustable suspension and all that happy horse shit. But I also I like the fact that it's way down on its depreciation curve.
Mhm.
So, it'll still depreciate more, but, it's sort of going like this.
Right.
The
Right.
Forerunners, yeah, they'll hold their value really well if you can find a good one to start with. I mean,
Yeah.
this DLC's got 34,000 miles on it. Well maintained. It's got the records, so, oh my goodness. Solid vehicle. In great condition and good price. And so looked at Forerunners, thought about doing something like a Japanese car, and I thought, well, I'll roll a little bit of the dice
Mhm.
on a late model German sort of quote unquote fun but sort of appliance like vehicle.
Right.
Yeah, will I get bored? I mean, I get bored with fabulous, whatever cars. I get bored with a 633 CSI. I get bored with, whatever. That's just my attention span.
Right. Well, you also drove the 633, like, what did we figure out? 250 miles
There's
or
something like
something
that.
ridiculous.
It was well, and that's part of the issue, and that's that the SL55 AMG that's sitting on the other side of this wall. Great car. I've put a handful of miles on it. It needs one more big service, and then I'm probably going to put it online because it's redundant in our world. I could have used that as a daily driver, but it's got more stuff that's going to go wrong.
Right.
So, I mean, they're known for their suspension issues. That's what I'm having fixed in, a week from Monday. They're known for, various leaks and things and just being sort of, I don't know, moody vehicles. It'll be great. Get the suspension done. I could daily drive that right up until the next warning light comes on.
Right. The next big thing happens.
And I really didn't kind of want to go down that road. So yeah, I really like cars of that era. That's not a great example. So that's a 2003 SL55. That's right in that zone that we talked about on the last podcast as our sweet spot for cars we like. I think the caveat is, be a little smart about which ones you buy in terms of their known reliability and issues and stuff. Your 5 Series, my new 5 Series, the M5, is in that zone. I mean, do M engines have expensive problems? Sure, but it's not frequent. They don't have hydraulic suspensions that randomly decide to fail. To sit down and not stand up. But we'll see how this goes. We'll play with it for a while. If I'm honest, and I've not made a secret about this with my wife. I do actually. I mentioned earlier. I'll pawn this car off on my kid. She graduates college in a few months. She gets settled, gets a job, and she's got some options. She's going to need a newer car. Her car it's a 2004 or 3. But it's got 2003 car issues. And I mean, it runs fine. It gets her from here to Ohio and back. But I think once she's working, she'll probably need a different car. Could this be the car for her? Maybe. I mean, she came in earlier, right before we started recording this, and said, "We're going out. Can I take your car?" So yeah. And then my point being, I've told my wife, I really do, against all good judgment, want to get a 2020 plus Defender. Mm-hmm. I like that car. I test drove one against this Mercedes, and the only reason that, if you ask me, the only reason that we didn't buy that car was because it was the D90 two-door and wasn't super practical. I mean, nobody ever rides with me, but I do carry stuff. It'd be nice to not have to just keep the back seats down all the time and stuff like that. And, my wife made an argument about, the practicality of getting a two-door SUV thing. But I love the way it drove. And so, when the GLC has moved on from me, I think that's a car that I'd like to explore for a little while, against the advice of my Land Rover mechanic. But
you have a Land Rover
mechanic. I do have one, and he's just really a chill dude. Now, you do wonder, though. It's sort of like, so my Mercedes mechanic tells me to buy a GLC 43, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, so was it that good a car? Why doesn't he have his anymore? And fast forward that to, or is he just telling me to buy it because he knows it's going to be in his shop frequently? Because he's a businessman. And I'm thinking, nah, he's not that sneaky. Same thing with the Land Rover guy. Well, no, Defenders are hot trash. Well, yeah, because you're not going to see enough of it, because it's going to be more reliable than my Range Rover. But I don't think that's necessarily how the Land Rover mechanic is thinking. I think he's probably right.
Yeah, I don't think the logic works both ways.
Look, tell me not to buy it because he's never going to have to work on it.
Right. Like the Mercedes guy, yeah, he's going to tell you it's a good car because it's not a good car. And the Land Rover guy, with a completely different personality, but still a businessman, either he knows he's never going to see it, or he doesn't want to work on it.
He doesn't want to work on it.
You don't want to work on it.
That's probably it. And in all fairness, Peter, the Mercedes mechanic, I mean, he's been good to me. His advice has always been pretty solid. I have not always paid attention to it,
Right.
but he's always given me pretty solid advice. And he did tell me he got rid of his GLC 43 because some other car came up, and he said, "Yeah, I kind of regret getting rid of that car because it was better than the car he replaced it with." I had to take an Uber the other day to go pick up the SL at the mechanic's place, and it's like 3 towns over from here, and the Uber guy's like, "So you getting your car worked on?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Why so far away?" And I said, "Well," he goes, "Aren't there Mercedes mechanics closer to where you live?" And I said, "There are," but I said, "This guy's been working on my cars for like 25 years."
Yeah.
Literally. And to the point that every so often he'll call me up. He said, "Hey, we're cleaning out the files. Can we go through which cars you still own?"
Right.
It's like, "Nope, that's gone, that's gone, that's gone. No, still have that. Don't get rid of that."
Wait, did I own that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's I used to keep the running tally, and then once upon a time I sort of stopped, and then I tried to repopulate it because we figured out that it's over 150 cars since we got married. And when I tried to make the list, it's like, there's that zone. I had a good friend who's since passed away. His name was Stu Hamill, and Stu and I, he was a bad influence in this way because he would buy and sell cars. He was a flipper. I mean, call it what it is. And he had connections to go to car auctions, and then he'd go to the local public auctions, and and we would go back and forth. And I got into that for a while, and so there was a period of time from about 2007 to about 2011. He died in 2012, so yeah, 7 to 11, when I bought and sold a lot of cars. I was always sort of on the cusp of getting in trouble with the state for needing a dealer license. It was sort of, I think the number's like 10, and I was always at like sort of 8, for those years. But that's when I lost track of like the actual count because I didn't even necessarily take pictures of all the cars and stuff. I mean, I've got a lot in my photo archive. I got pictures of a lot of cars, and when I go through and I'm looking for photos for the blog or for whatever. Like, oh, I forgot about that car. But yeah, there's every so often I'll think back on a car. It's like, oh yeah, I had one of those. Did I take pictures of that? No pictures. No record, no history, and I don't save all the paperwork. I mean, after a car's gone, whatever. Once I'm comfortable that it's safely in the hands of its next owner, like I'll shred it. I mean, I guess that's sort of the fleet update. I hadn't talked about the M5 before, so now Jonathan and I both have E39 BMWs and compare notes on various trim things and what have you. So that's been kind of fun.
It is fun, and another funny coincidence of our lives together, Reed's life and my life, and how they're so intertwined. Way back in the late '80s, early '90s, we both also had Honda Preludes, and my Honda Prelude, '85 Honda Preludes, mine was red and his was gray. And now we both have E39 5 Series. His is red and mine is gray. And last weekend or the weekend before, we were both working on our E39
Yeah,
5 Series, albeit 1,500 miles away from each other. But it was a text and occasional phone conversation of, "Hey, what are you doing?" That's like, "Oh, well, I'm lying under the car doing tie rod boots." "Oh, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm putting a new center vent in the dashboard."
yeah,
And it was sort of funny because way back in the day when we were really young, like, 2 and 4, our fathers, and we've mentioned this before, had matching Fiat 850 Spiders that they would work on in either my parents' driveway or Reed's parents' driveway, you know, on a Saturday or Sunday so they could get to work on Monday because that's what you did in the 70s.
right.
So it's just the continuation of that is sort of fun and sort of funny.
My most vivid memory of that, and you may not have it, is it was your parents' garage, and both the Fiats were in the garage, so your mom's car must have been moved out, and so they parked next to each other, and you and I were both sitting in the driver's seats racing each other
Right.
while our dads were actually doing the work on the cars and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very vivid picture in my head. I wish I could put that on the screen because I could see it like yesterday. It's
I don't remember. I don't remember that. I remember playing in my dad's Fiat, especially I think once he started getting company cars. But
mm,
before he sold the Fiat, he only sold the Fiat like moments before we moved to Indiana,
mm,
whatever years, 80, 79. Um, and but I used to play in the Fiat when it was garage bound, and ours was primer gray. And I remember my dad, like, he always said he was going to paint it in the garage with like rattle cans.
yeah.
Every now and then, he would just pick up a rattle can and just shoot part of the rear engine cover just to see what it looked like. Sort of like, and I vividly remember being out there with him one day, and he picked up like a can of white paint and
Yeah.
just shot part of the deck lid. He's like, nah, and went back to what he was doing.
Yeah, I mean that's the zone of cars that we enjoy as collector cars, special car, whatever, our happy zone that we've talked about before, that sort of 40-30 year old car thing. It's a different creature now because for us those cars aren't cars that we're picking up a can of spray paint and just spraying the back of the car. We don't and we don't have to every weekend take the engine out of our Fiat 850 to make sure it gets me to the station on Monday.
I know.
You know, we're not in that zone. And yeah, I mean, guys did that. They did that with MGs. They did that with Fiats. They did that with Pontiacs. I mean, they every weekend they were keeping up their sort of crappy station car
Hmm.
in that way. And the cars that we've been playing with, and yeah, I mean, at this point in life, I mean, our dads were in their 30s when they were doing that.
Right.
We're in our 50s now. When our dads were in our 50s, they didn't even play with cars the way that we do.
No.
They had both sort of graduated to, I don't know,
Adult cars.
adult car. Yeah, yeah, Lexus and Infinity.
Right.
Um, talk about cars that for that time you turned the key and didn't think about,
Right.
right? Um, I still like to think about my cars a little bit, just not necessarily the one that I want to get me places. But it is fun, like comparing notes, because yeah, when I was changing that center vent on the M5, it's like, oh, did you know that it came out really easy, but well, it didn't. I mean, I had to like completely tear the old one apart because I didn't want to take out the radio unit to get behind it to push the little tabs to slide it out. So that's one way to do it, or the other way is you just shatter the thing and pull it out, but you also have to unhook
It was
the
broken
little.
already.
Well, exactly. It wasn't like I was trying to preserve it. I mean, heaven forbid you ever have to take a good one out because there's something going on behind it that you want to fix. That's a bad day. Um, but yeah, and there's like a little wire that controls sort of a hot cold mix on those vents that you have to lower the glove compartment to get to. But it's all those cars are very well built in that way, where it's still something you can lay hands on yourself, and it's fun to compare notes. I do like that aspect of it,
Yeah.
and when I got the M5, there were a couple goofy things like the coil over suspension adjusters that were sticking up through the rear parcel shelf, and you had some insight as to the way that was constructed and what I might be able to do about it, which I more or less was. I was able to put speaker covers on by folding the adjusters down. They stick up a little bit, so I'm still finessing that because it looks like the speaker covers don't fit super well because the way that that those adjusters are sort of bent over, there's like just a little bit of a bump.
Can you pop those off the top of the shocks and just throw them in the trunk? Because
Sure.
you're not going to be adjusting the suspension on that car on the regular.
Well, let me explain. So yes, you can. and they're held on with retaining screws
Hmm.
at the shock.
Yeah.
On an E39 BMW, to get to the top of the shock, you have to take out the back seat and you have to remove the parcel shelf.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I'd rather fold it over
Okay.
and deal with the little popped up.
Right. Right.
I mean, for now, when the weather's better, it's not 12 degrees outside. Might I spend a Saturday afternoon and do that? Sure. Because to your point, yeah, I don't. I'm not gonna. I might play with the adjustment once just to see, because I don't know what my baseline is right now. It's adjusted to something. I
Right.
don't know if it's on the softest setting or the hardest setting, but I don't want to dick with it until I don't know. I don't really want to dick with it.
Yeah. You're not going to do.
It rides well the way it is.
Yeah. You're not going to dick with it.
No.
Um,
So, I mean, I guess I could pull really hard and see how good the retaining screws are, but that could fail.
yeah. I might not do that.
I end up tearing the
might not
parcel
you can't
shelf.
do that. I might not do that.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that.
But you're right about the cars being nice to work on. I did tie rod boots on the 530, and it was just, you know, it's a lying under the car job, but just working on that car was really pleasant. It all just comes apart nicely, goes back together nicely. It's just nothing's that car has a remarkable lack of previous owner disease. And yes, I know the complete history of the car back to day one. Um, but even people who have worked on it before, right? Like the original owners, Ed and Denise. Ed didn't work on his own cars, but it was at the dealer for a long time, and then Ed had an independent for a long time, and then the car landed here. It was with me for a hot minute. It went to Rob, where Rob did all the things, and Rob is whatever the diametric opposite of a hack is.
Hmm.
In fact, like I appreciate his OCD, but he'd never make it as a mechanic. It's like,
It has benefited you.
oh yeah, and the work he does is glorious. I mean, it's astonishing. But yeah, he'd never make book time on a job. Um, but so like there's a absolute lack of fuckery on that car.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you go in there and nothing's boogered up. It's
Yeah.
just whoop, goes and you do the thing. I've actually got a small stack of parts for that car. Again, those who choose to drive 20 plus year old cars on the daily,
Right.
you got to pay attention to them. I've got a passenger front door window mech to go in. Uh, I've got the aftermarket cup holder to go in. The in the broken center box back here. There's a few other things I've just sort of accumulated parts that need to go on that car.
The place we went to dinner last night, when we pulled in the parking lot, like I said, it wasn't super crowded, and I mean it's in a strip mall, so I mean there's other stores, but it still wasn't very crowded. And I was looking for a nice pull through parking spot, and I found one, and right next to it was an identical 530i to yours, same wheels. I
Funny.
think it was the same gray color. It might have been one shade. It might have been the color of your mirror.
Yeah.
um,
Thanks,
Not
eBay.
in as good a condition. What?
Thanks, eBay seller.
Yeah, not in quite as good a condition as yours. Like it was a little bit, dinged up and stuff. But it's like I told Heather, I said, oh, I got to park next to the E39. And I said, that's Jonathan's car. I didn't look in to see if it was a stick or an automatic, but it was kind of nice to see one out, in the wild because
Yeah.
you just these days you don't see them that often.
You don't, at least not in this part of the, in my part of the world, and maybe not even in your part of the world. They're not, uh, I think a lot of them are not daily drivers anymore. They're either collector level or sometimes cars, or, they're absolute piles that,
Well,
are
like the one you got those wheels off of.
yeah, that guy, that was probably a nice car before that guy had it and wrecked it. Although
Well,
maybe it may not have been that nice a car.
I mean, the M5 for me is a sometimes car. It's not a pristine show car. I mean, as Jonathan knows, it's got 177,000 miles on it. I mean, it's not going to be a concours car. The
Yeah.
hood's been repainted. I think both the bumpers have been repainted. It's a very nice occasional car.
Yeah, no, it's a great driver plus car.
Yeah.
You know,
But but yeah, to your point, like that's not a car that I want to drive every day. Not because I don't want to drive the car. Just I do want to sort of. I don't want to take it out in the bad weather and stuff. I want to keep it to a certain level of niceness underneath.
Mhm.
It was a West Coast car,
Yeah.
and so yeah. But it's funny because when you were talking about the way everything just sort of goes together on those cars, and yeah, so I guess we're going in hard on E39s today. That wasn't planned, but that's okay. I mean, a lot of the different car folks, like the E39 gets good respect from like the Chris Harrises of the world, and even like the DeMuros and folks like that. I mean, they are one of the last best four-door sports sedans. I
Yep.
I argue.
And it's funny you talk about, respect for the E39 from people of our generation, right? I
Hmm.
mean, like Harris and DeMuro and those guys, I think they're all roughly our age, maybe? Question
Yeah,
mark? I don't know.
close.
When I first got the five out of storage, coming up on 3 years ago now, Chris and I went to some little hole in the wall restaurant place in a little strip mall. I don't remember what we were doing on a nice spring day. We parked in front of the restaurant because there was nobody there. And I could see the car from where I was sitting. And these two like high school dudes rolled up in kind of a special E46.
Mm.
Um, and they got out of the car and they were kind of checking out the five. And the five is a nice car, but it's also like, a gray on gray automatic. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a pretty sport, but it's still a gray on gray automatic. But they were all into it,
yeah.
or they were, going to steal it, one of the two. Anyway. Um, but no, but you're right. Like, and I still see E39s from time to time around town. And it's always when I'm not driving mine, so you can't, kind of do the wave.
Oh yeah.
But I was up at my gas station, I don't know, sometime early winter, and dude pulls in a black E39 530i, not a sport, not any, just a really nice one. And he had some personalized plate that had some golf reference on it. And I said, "Hey man, like, nice fiver, I've got one." And he wasn't super interested in talking about it, but okay. It was like, they're still out there.
It's funny. So, one of the things that I wanted to do with the M5 was, and for those that don't know, the E39 M5 was sort of the Nürburgring taxi that made Sabine Schmitz famous. That was the car she had when people sort of found out about her. In
Hmm.
fact, I was just seeing an old Top Gear. You mentioned watching old Top Gears on, Roku TV the other day, whatever, live TV. And I had that on this morning, and there was one of those where she was riding with Clarkson. And anyway, so when I got the M5, I thought, Virginia's got a pretty easy and inexpensive personalized plate deal, and you can get them both on the regular plates as well as the antique plates. And that car qualified this year. It's a 2001, so we have a 25-year rule here, but it qualified for an antique plate. So I thought I'm gonna check the plate lookup and just see what I can get. And RNG TXI ring taxi was available. And so I jumped on it. And then I put a picture of the back of the car on, a couple of the Facebook groups for E39 M5s. And this one guy responded, he goes, "Oh, you beat me to it." And he said, "Yeah, it's a shame we can't get," because they have two different types of antique plates here in Virginia. You've got a yellow and blue one, which is sort of the regular one, and then there's a black and white one, which generally applies to older cars. Like it's actually like a square or rectangular piece of metal. It doesn't have the rounded edges and the embossed stuff. It's a different thing. He goes, "Yeah, it's a shame you can't get the black and white plates with that."
Mhm.
Just because they're, the color scheme is a little better. I mean, orangey yellow plates on the back of a red car is an interesting look, but
Right.
it's what's available. But I was pretty psyched that, and I got a lot of love for that. Like, on the post, I think, I looked this morning, it had like 150 likes or something. So okay. But that car got a lot of love when I took it to Cars and Coffee last weekend,
Mhm.
because there's not a lot of E39
Oh,
anythings around anymore like there used to be. I mean, a lot of people used to have, especially in Europe, right? I mean, that was like every executive, had a 520i,
a 520, a 525,
company car
yeah.
in the UK or in Germany or whatever, but no, it got a lot of love at Cars and Coffee, and that's always nice. I mean, why do you have old cars? Not for other people necessarily, but it's nice when other people appreciate them.
Yeah, yeah. I took R5 to the local BMW club's summer picnic barbecue thing uh 2 years ago. Yeah, last year I took the Bauer, but 2 years ago, and lo and behold, it was the only E39 there. Um, and it was interesting. It was sort of, as I recall, it was one of the few cars sort of that mid era also, right? There was a bunch of newer stuff. There were a couple 2002s, a couple like E12 5 series or one E5 series, maybe a couple 6 series, but it was the only like end of the golden era 5 series. I didn't think there were any threes, E46 3 series there.
Mm,
That year. I mean, in
wow.
other years there have been, but yeah, no, I still like it. I actually saw a black 540i driving around the other day with like an older Asian lady driving it, and she wasn't driving it slow. Like,
Mm.
yeah, I'm like, okay, good for you.
Well, it's a car you can do that with too.
Right. It will rust, right? I
Well,
mean,
sure.
I feel like mine had a multi-decade head start on the in the Bay Area, and then in storage. So, it probably won't rust this year, but
Yeah.
and they're getting to be old enough, right? They're collectible. It's like, oh, you're going to kill the car. You're going to kill the car. It's like, yeah, but life is too short to drive a, you know, 2001 Camry 6 months out of the year.
It's funny because, yeah, I get that. At the same time, I mean, cars are to be used. I mean, that's what they're for. And yeah, if you got the use out of it, you loved the car, and ultimately it rusted away, you enjoyed the car, and there's another car.
There's another car. There's always another car. And honestly, I mean, for both of you watching this at home, there was a lot of conversation when Reed's Range Rover was going away about me buying that Range Rover. And I've joked about it in person online before. And I really thought about it, right?
Mm,
Reed and I had mostly worked out a price and, fly out, drive back, but the five would have to go away. And I'm not done with the five. I like the
right.
five. I like the five for the social aspect that we've just talked about. Like, oh, it's funny, we both have the same car and we're
Yeah.
both wrenching on the same car, albeit at a distance. But as much as I liked that Range Rover, and I did, I thought it was a
Mm,
nice example,
it was.
despite everything. I think if you had just gotten the gauge cluster fixed, I would have pushed harder for it, but you didn't. Um, so, I'm not done with the five yet
Yeah.
because, as we've talked about, I don't drive it every day. I, I, I mean, sometimes it'll sit there for a week or more. So when I get in it, it feels like something I haven't driven in a while, and it's sort of fresh.
Yeah, no, I'm like, I'm kind of juicy to drive the M5 now,
Well, that's
because
what I was thinking. Like, I got to take the kid to basketball practice later. Chris is like, well, I'm thinking I'll probably stay home and do some work. It's like, maybe I'll take the five for that.
so shifting gears, I have a plug.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyway, so screens. So my wife's car, as I've said before, her 25 E-Class Mercedes is equipped with the optional ultra screen package, which basically is your gauge cluster is a screen, then you've got a screen in the middle, and then there's another one for the passenger. And every time I get in this car, it is just replete with smudges.
Mhm.
and drives me nuts. Like you're talking about your OCD issues.
Mhm.
A smudgy screen just pushes me over the edge. This morning I went out and cleaned her screen when she wasn't looking. So I get this other car, and it's got a little screen. It's not the ultra screen. It's the one. It's smaller than an iPad, bigger than an iPhone.
Mhm.
That was the vintage of that car. And the other day I was thinking, I know how to touch a screen and not leave prints all over it. And then I got in the car this morning and there were prints all over my screen. And I thought, I'm full of shit.
Mhm.
I don't know how to do that. Now, I could blame it on my daughter who drove the car yesterday, but I'm guessing it was me. Anyway, when we got the wagon, it came with a Mercedes Benz branded microfiber cleaning touch display wipe.
Mhm.
Part number A00098655500. Available for $10. I could get the same thing on Amazon for like $1. But I have ordered two of those. One because I think my wife's is getting sort of gross and I don't know if you can wash it. And one for my car. And it's brilliant. Like it's like having a really good glasses cleaning cloth
Mhm.
that's specific for your silly car display. And I can't say enough good things about this stupid wipe.
So, as you are talking about that, similarly, here we go. Similarly, shameless plug, our 2018 Subaru has a screen,
Yes,
and it too gets fingerprints all over it frequently because
reasons.
my wife likes her lotion, and so I clean the steering wheel and the interior occasionally, not occasionally, more often than occasionally. We keep a microfiber towel in the door pocket of the Outback just for the screen and the center stack, and frequently, to dust the dashboard a little bit. How much did you say that cloth was?
Well, you have to understand.
No, 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 no. That
No, no,
no, no, no,
I will come back to the price.
okay.
It's actually $9.99, but it is not a towel. So what it doesn't do is it doesn't leave the lint that a regular microfiber leaves. Just saying.
So,
Anyway,
so, and how big is it? Ballpark. So it might be 12 by 12 ish.
ish.
Okay. I mean, it's probably in centimeters, but okay. For 1999, again, shameless plug, not sponsored. At Costco, you can get 36 of those microfiber towels.
It's different.
And they do a phenomenal job of just cleaning up the interior. And you know the best part? You can just throw it out when you're done.
It's not the same.
Totally the same.
Not the same.
Absolutely the same.
This
Absolutely.
even comes in a Ziploc bag. How much are your 36 Ziploc bags? Nah, I'm teasing. Anyway, it's a very effective cleaning cloth that comes in a nice, handy little Ziploc bag. Does its job.
I'm going to go with the variety pack of Ziploc bags. 322 of them for $16.99.
Well, see, now you've spent almost as much as my two microfibers.
Right. Right.
So
You should buy a couple of those and
I
then sit
did
on them for 25 years. Like the BMW blue rags that go in the toolkit.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Right. That's an investment.
Incidentally, you can get remanufactured BMW blue rags.
Yeah, but
They look right.
yeah.
They do. I got one. It's sort of like from Latvia or something. When I had the 6 Series, I got one, and I was actually really pleasantly surprised that they got the color blue of the BMW logo right, and the color of the rag was right.
Mm.
I was very pleased with that.
Years and years and years ago, when I first bought my Bavaria, I was living in the Bay Area and I went down to Mesa Performance in Costa Mesa. Uh, and I bought, the standard, first time Bavaria owner kit, right? You buy the
Right.
Clean XR700 electronic ignition and you buy a bunch of other stuff. And I remember they had a stack of original BMW blue rags in the BMW package,
Oh
and
wow.
they were $3 each.
Wow.
I know, I
You
know.
know, if you can even find one now, I mean, if you find one that's in the package, God knows what you would pay for it.
Right.
But people sell used ones for like $30.
I know.
It's, yeah, I mean, so you never know. This could be a collector's item. I'll use one and I'll put the other one in a safe place.
Which you will forget.
Yeah, probably. That stands to reason. Anyway, it's a very nice cloth, and it's not just a typical microfiber. So, but the bottom line is, I really hate smudges on a screen.
Right, right. Yeah. No,
That's part of the key message here is don't smudge my screen. Oh, the other thing. Speaking of spending silly money on things you don't need for your car, I got my 3 missing pieces for my toolkit for the M5. So the warning triangle that actually wasn't missing, just wasn't sent in the U.S. cars, and then the 2 other tools. That warning triangle
yeah.
in the plastic holder
Hmm.
fits perfectly. Like it is the right thing for that car. We had talked
Okay.
about this previously
Yeah.
because some cars you see them where the warning triangle is sort of held in with it's not in a container, it's just there, held in with like a little strap thing. That thing it sits right in there, and it almost feels like it clips into place.
Nice. Okay.
So and it's cheaper than the one that's not in the container for some reason.
Hmm.
But so yes, I now have glorious toolkit.
Nice. Nice.
Feeling very good about that.
How much was the warning triangle? And I'm not looking on Costco for one. I'm just curious because
I think it was like
prices seem to range all over the board.
it was like $26
Oh wow. Okay.
from ECS.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Yeah, not a. I mean, if you want to complete your toolkit, it was not an expensive way to. It's not like spending $30 on a used rag.
Right. Right. Right.
Um,
Or $60 on a dumb little plastic trim piece for the rain rail on your Z3. We should put a picture up of that also. But yeah, that little dumb thing went from like $15 to $60. And yes, I
yeah, send
bought
me
it.
that picture.
Yeah.
Well, that's door sills for E39s. We
Yeah.
talked about this,
Yeah.
and there is an M car premium for the M branded ones, the M5 branded ones, but even the regular ones are silly money now. That used to be a $30 trim piece, and now on the M5 it's like 200.
Oh, well,
And
even for the, you know, gloss black and shiny black and chrome ones on the 530, they range from I think 150 to $250 a piece. And oh, by the way, at least one of them's NLA now.
you can still get all the M5 ones, but I'm not going to because no. I mean, I got the one for the driver's door. How often? I mean, the one on the passenger front door is in good shape. That's the
Mhm.
only one that was in good shape. So, not messing with that. The driver's one was shattered. I mean, it was just, it was, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. So, I bought the driver's one, spent the money on the driver's one. The 2 backdoor ones are kind of iffy, but how often does anybody get in the back seat of that car? Like right now, I don't care. I don't want to spend $200 a piece for those that nobody's going to see. I have a beautiful door sill thing that nobody will ever see. You
Right.
know, I can spend $400 on a lot of stuff and get value out of it,
Yeah.
like a trip to see you. Seems like a better use of the cash. I don't know,
Right.
but
Right. No, it's yeah, no, the prices of all this stuff are insane now.
And that's not even unique to old cars anymore. I mean, you buy various things. I mean, for this GLC 43, I was looking. It didn't come with a cover or mat or anything in the tailgate area.
Hmm.
So I thought, yeah, I like to put something in there because I do carry things and just to protect the factory carpet. So, looking online, if you could even find one, they're available all day long for the coupe version of the GLC,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but for the actual SUV looking one, I I couldn't find them. I saw a couple used ones on eBay, and they're like $200 for $100, give or take. I went to Lloyd's Mats and just got because I wanted carpet. I given the choice. I mean, if I'd gotten the factory one and it was rubber, because the car has the factory rubber mats for winter. It also has the carpet mats, but it has the rubber mats. I don't mind a rubber mat in the back. But if I'm actually choosing, I actually like they do a rubber backed carpet. And actually, I was able to do it. That car's got red seat belts and red stitching. So I was actually able to do it with red stitching around the outside. It matches the car really nicely. And Lloyd's, I've always had good luck with Lloyd's. Lloyd's and Coco have been very good to me over the years. More shameless plugs. Somebody ought to pay us for this stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
If anybody ever watched the podcast. But yeah, and I mean,
one of our two viewers is from Lloyd's Mats or Coco. Who knows?
maybe. Although I will say that one of our two viewers, our Acura driving friend,
Oh yeah.
commented on the last podcast. Hadn't watched it yet, but was very interested in watching it because had a similar perspective on 40-year-old cars.
Yeah.
And I found that I was like exactly like that's what we're talking about because he wrote a little comment on the TTS website about that. But it's always nice to know that somebody is interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feel free to leave a
If I ever
comment.
get out to Arizona, we have other friends in Arizona. Like if I ever get out there, I got to track that guy down and get him a beer because man, I love that guy.
Yeah, I want to party with you.
I said, if you're watching this, appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely, absolutely. I guess with that, it's probably time to pull the plug.
Yeah, and end the podcast.
Too soon.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks for watching and sticking with us, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Thanks.